What's up, y'all? This is John back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Tyler from the Tunnel Longhorns to talk about the Texas Longhorns before the top 10 night game in Athens this weekend. Before we get to that, how have you been? What are you drinking?
I have been all right. I am drinking water. I'm sure you can
Smart.
probably hear it a little bit in the voice. I don't know, something's acting up. Texas weather, but drinking water right now. You can see behind me. I've got plenty of whiskey back there. Uh, haven't broken into that one yet. Not feeling that sick.
That's fair. That's fair. Savannah is also doing this weird thing of it was 30 degrees yesterday in the morning. And in Savannah, that's unheard of. We don't get that until February. We get it for like 2 hours and it goes away.
Right.
And it was 72 today. So,
Yeah,
I,
it's similar deal down here. I live in the Dallas area, and it's just like I think it was 30-ish, around 30 on like Sunday morning and most of Sunday, and today and yesterday, it's just been like mid 70s. So
yes, we'll all be sick in a few more days.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but we're super excited to get to talk to you. And I don't even remember who we talked to last year for the Texas game, but we talked to somebody who leaned in a little bit too much to the I'm trying to be a douchebag thing.
okay,
And what I mean by that is it was inside at night, obviously. The dude had all of the lights down and like some orange mood lighting behind him, ears tucked into the flat bill, and sunglasses on. I'm not sure he was able to actually see us
interesting.
on the camera.
I'm
And
trying to
he
think of
only
who that
spoke in
could be.
sound bites.
Yeah, nice. I love that. There's a lot of those out there in the Longhorn, like I don't want to call us the media space because I wouldn't consider us media, but like
Same.
the whole Twitter world, whatever. There's a lot of that out there, so that doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah,
I
but
I will not be doing that.
no, as soon as your camera feed came on and I saw the whiskey in the background, I was like, we're good. We're good.
Yeah,
We can have
yeah.
a good conversation.
Already off to a better start.
Yes. All right, so getting into Texas, the Longhorns have had a bit of an up and down season on offense, with arch fluctuating between elite and lost. What has the difference been in the games where he's played to his potential?
So I think the biggest things has been, um, I mean, you look at the games where he's more played to his potential. You're looking at like the Mississippi State, I guess, second half, uh, the Vanderbilt game, obviously. And I think two things that really helped was, and I guess it's mostly one thing, and it kind of branches off of that is, I feel like the play calling's changed a lot. I think even Sark said it himself. Like I kind of went back to the Quinn Ewers playbook because the Arch Manning this uh, play action style offense, like running so much play action, just hasn't been working. So you've seen the last two games we've opened up with a screen to Ryan Wingo. One went for like 70 yards, the other one 75 and a touchdown. And so to me, what that's done it's pulling guys back. They're having to respect the screen game. They're having to they can't just put their foot in the ground and go rush the quarterback and send six the entire game. And so I think that's helped him a lot, and getting that screen game back working helped a lot.
So what are you expecting from him this weekend?
So personally, and I wish Shane was here because he's more of the optimist of the two of us, and I tend to be a little pessimistic of the two.
You
But
got the pessimist of us too. So
yeah, yeah, okay, nice.
great.
This would be a great podcast then. Honestly, I think we'll see a little bit of a regression this week, just because, man, I mean, it feels like Georgia's so big, and playing Georgia's such a big thing that when you saw at the beginning of the year the kind of struggles Arch had, that a lot of it seemed mental. I feel like some of that might come back a little bit, if that makes sense. However, I don't think he's going to regress all the way back like to the Ohio State game or UTEP, which was a horrible game considering the opponent. But I could see him being around like 60% completion, maybe 250 yards, a couple touchdowns, maybe a pick. So nothing crazy, but certainly don't expect him to go out there and throw for 350 or 400.
The rushing attack has struggled a little bit this season, 95th nationally. Um, and what confuses me is it's an elite group of running backs, and they're mostly healthy or have been for most of the season. So why do you think the running game is struggling this much?
So it's actually been pretty banged up for the most part. I mean, CJ Baxter, he's been our kind of number one running back for a few years now, and he was coming off a torn ACL last year, messed up the hamstring this year, kept him out for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then Trey Wisner, he's the guy that he was. I think he's a returning rusher in the SEC from last year, um, like leading returning rusher, and he's kind of been nicked up here and there. But overall, I think a lot of it has just been we've been in a lot of positions where throwing the ball is necessary. Not having the lead, getting ourselves backed up in third and longs with penalties, whatever the case may be. And I think it's just none of the running backs have been able to get any kind of rhythm. Also found a stat for this, like Trey Wisner has the most carries on the team with 88. Arch Manning is second with 69. There are
Mm.
41 quarterbacks in NCAA football that have as many or more carries than our leading running back. Like that's just it's tough for those guys to get going when they're only seeing maybe 10 to 12 touches a game. Uh, so I think that's a lot of it, and also the interior of our offensive line. There's been some health issues there, but it just hadn't been good. And I think the last couple weeks it's gotten better, but it's still just not good. So
So, what are your expectations for the ground game this weekend? Do you think they're going to try and lean on it a little bit more with this physical type game?
I certainly hope not, because if they do, they're not going to score very many points. Like I said, I'm the pessimist, the pessimist of the two. But I mean, man, we were good running the ball last year, and I think between the two games, we maybe had 60 yards rushing against y'all. Like it's just you say what you want about Georgia's defensive line. I've heard a lot of talk about they can't rush the passer or whatever, but there's some freaks up there, man. That those big dudes on the defensive line, good linebackers. Um, so I think what you'll see more is going to be using the screen game to supplement the run game, because I think at the end of the day, like we've been recruiting to compete in the SEC. I just don't think we're there where it's like, hey, we're going to line up against Georgia and we're just going to run it straight down their throat all day long.
So, kind of getting into the offensive line, we talked about it a little bit. What are your thoughts about the line? Lost a couple of key guys from last year. Hasn't necessarily been consistent this year. Some games are good, some games are not, to
Yeah,
put it nicely.
yeah.
But
No,
like,
you
kind of
don't have to put it nicely.
what are your thoughts on the line?
So yeah, I mean, first of all, like you're replacing four starters is tough, and there will be people that might hear this and say like, well, all the Texas fans are so confident before the season that it wasn't going to matter. And I was one of those people. I thought we've got guys, waiting, and a lot of them have played valuable minutes. Um, I think that just there was, like I said, there's been a couple injuries in the interior, and I think it's kind of shifted guys around, and they never really got that chance to just gel together. I think the tackles are both great. I think our right tackle Brandon Baker was 5-star, one of the top offensive tackles in his class, and he seems to be kind of coming into his own. And uh, so, yeah, I don't worry too much about the tackles, but like I've been saying, the interior has just been it's been tough, and I think they played better against Vandy a couple weeks ago. Um, just getting to kind of go back to their natural positions.
Does Georgia finally being able to get multiple sacks in an SEC game change any of your thoughts going into this one?
So I like this question because I said I wasn't going to be able to talk any smack because y'all beat us down twice last year, but um, I don't. It doesn't really scare me at all.
Shouldn't.
What was it? Was it 3 against Mississippi State?
Correct.
3,
I
maybe 4.
I
Like
think it's
Texas,
3.
yeah, Texas had 7. So I'm like, eh, I'm not worried
Well,
about
I
it. They'll
mean,
be
if we're going pass rusher on pass rusher, Texas is like top 4 in the country.
that's a good point.
So
No, I mean, I think if it was, I think if it was a couple weeks in a row of consistent pass rush and getting to the quarterback, sure. But at this point, it feels like it's got to just be you're Georgia, they're Mississippi State, and that's just kind of how football works sometimes. Like it's just we're better than you. Should it, you said it shouldn't concern me though?
no, no,
Why?
no.
Why do you say that?
Georgia has not been able to get pressure on the quarterback without adding guys to the rush. Georgia has 2 sacks this season by people not named C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson.
Okay, wow.
That is it's C.J. Allen with like 5, Raylan Wilson with like 3. You've
Hmm.
got I think Elijah Griffin has 1, and then another defensive lineman has 1, and that's
Wow,
the extent of
interesting.
Georgia sacks this year.
See, and that'll be a fun matchup for me to watch because what Texas has done a lot this year is run like having 6 or 7 guys there to block because we just have been so porous. And I mean, you're talking about games against teams like Oklahoma with really good D lines as well, but it's been such another issue for us is not being able to shore up the pass blocking, and now we've got to keep a tight end and a running back in there to max protect against 6 rushers, and it's just you can't do that all the time. So that might be a weakness Texas can expose if y'all aren't able to get home with other than 1 or 2 guys. Maybe we don't have to sit back there with 6 blockers. We can just use the 5 on the line.
I mean, Alabama has just put kept 2 tight ends and a running back in every obvious
Yeah.
passing play against Georgia for like
Right.
3 or 4 years in a row, and Georgia hasn't been able to do anything. Even with the guys they had last year, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. When they are using 8 to block and you're sending 6, you're losing every
Right.
time.
Right.
And
Maybe that's the key. They went what, like 14 of 17 on third down against y'all this year. Like,
um, I can thank the Tropicalia in my section for me not knowing the exact number for that one.
I know it's something outrageous. I remember seeing it like,
Oh, they went.
uh,
I think it was 13 for 13 in the first half.
that's insane, dude.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me. Well, I can promise you this: Texas ain't gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're not nearly that good on third down.
So I do want to kind of get into the home and away splits for the offense because they're pretty drastic. So scoring offense, they're 30th home, 73rd away, and it's away and neutral site just outside of Austin.
Okay.
52nd in rushing offense at home, 111th away, 51st in passing offense at home, and 65th away. So I'm kind of going to give 2 options and then feel free to take it wherever. But do you think that those splits are due to the difference in competition so far in the home games versus away, or does this offense and youth combination not travel well?
So I think it's a little bit of both because you look at games like the games at Ohio State and the games at Florida, and then we come home and we have games like Sam Houston State where we put up 55 and Vandy where the offense looked great at least for 3 quarters, and it's like okay maybe it is just can't travel, but then you go to like Mississippi State, they're not a very good football team, but their crowd is electric and um, we had a really good offensive game that night, and then you also look at like UTEP at home, and we put up 27 points against UTEP, who's like 2-7 this year. They're not. It's not like a good UTEP football team, right? So, uh, man, like I said earlier, I think a lot of what's changed recently is more like the Sark running the Quinn Ewers playbook. I think that's helped more than anything. Um, and it's just kind of happened how the games have fallen on the schedule. Uh, Obviously, though, playing the number one team in the country on the road, only being able to score 7 points and looking terrible doing it is going to skew that a little bit. So
Yeah, in that game, I think that game came down a lot to coaching because it didn't look like Ohio State had the better players. It looked like Sark was trying to handle the team with kid gloves in that game a little bit.
yeah, I think that was part of it. I think it was, I don't ever want to say we're holding plays or running a vanilla playbook against Ohio State, right? Because you're opening the season 1 versus 3, you want to win that football game, but I think that there's just you have so many young guys, and there's only so much you can install in fall camp, and I think he was running what he was comfortable with his guys executing, and at the end of the day, they still didn't execute any of that well. So
Yeah,
I think you're not totally wrong. I think that I think at the end of the day, they're just better than we were in week one. So
but hey, you can always go back to that Carson Beck quote. He's just executing the plays that are called. At least y'all don't have the Miami playbook of where the plays are apparently throw it to the other team.
yeah, yeah. That's got to be. Sorry to go off on a little side tangent
No,
here,
I
but
love it.
that's got to be like one of the most affirming things for Georgia fans this year is watching Carson Beck just totally crumble time after time.
Man, we probably week 3 or 4 last year, we were calling for two quarterbacks, like at least a competition, because it was like, how many games can he throw wide open interceptions before it's unacceptable anymore?
Right.
And then they found a way to just win these games where he's throwing wide open interceptions. It's like, I can't complain too much. They're winning, and especially like that game in Austin last year. Georgia
Yeah.
should have lost that game. You can't throw that many interceptions and win that game. And
Yeah.
then they find a way, just continue to find a way.
Well, we helped y'all out a lot there too. I mean,
I,
we were that first half. Oh my gosh,
I mean, the recycling bin helped y'all out too. So,
man.
um,
That was a weird time. My entire life as a Texas fan. I mean, I'm almost 30. Damn it! Like, I've never seen that happen in any sport at Texas ever. And in the moment, I was like, you know what? Hell yeah! Like, y'all let it rain down. Like, I don't care. And now I look back and I'm like, yeah, probably wasn't the best way to go about that, but it
I
worked.
mean, if you ask the referees, they were already talking about overturning that call.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
right. It didn't matter that it took 15 minutes to clear the field. They were already
Right.
talking about it 5 seconds
They're playing
afterwards.
it on the jumbotron over and over, and it's like essentially a review without being a review. Yeah.
Right. Um, I don't even know where we were at. Oh, Carson Beck. I love talking trash about Carson Beck because man, I'm not sure how integrated Texas fans are with the like SEC social media atmosphere, only
Mhm.
being 2 years into it, but like Josh Pate and Brett McMurphy and there's another guy for CBS that up until that Louisville game said Georgia was the problem. Carson Beck's the best quarterback in the country. Georgia's the problem. Carson Beck's the best quarterback in the country. It's like, did y'all not watch the Notre Dame game where he threw terrible passes and just had good enough wide receivers to catch them this
Right.
time? It's like, all right, whatever. And then he loses the game by throwing 5 interceptions. One got called back. He still threw five. And one of our co-hosts, Caleb, he has a montage that he plays, a video on the podcast every time Carson Beck has a multiple interception game about how we were right.
That's awesome. I love that.
Because I mean, like you could tell by the way that players didn't respond to him at any point of the
Right.
season. People didn't like him. And I understand that players have come out this season and been like, oh, we love Carson and we still hope the best for him. And it's like, man, the rumors are the locker room erupted at halftime when y'all found out Gunner was playing the second half of that SEC title game.
That's
There were zero drops
oh
in the
my.
second half of that game. when there were
Yeah,
5 in the
yeah,
first half when Carson was throwing the football. Look,
yeah.
uh,
That kind of speaks to like just where you are mentally with your quarterback.
yeah,
Uh, that's funny, man. I mean, I remember last year like seeing some of the debate about the whole Beck Gunnar Stockton. I remember it being Gunnar Stockton. I'm sure it could have been another guy too, but
it was Gunner.
um, yeah. And so when Georgia fans or whoever wants to talk about how well, Georgia beat you with a backup quarterback, like they wanted him, like they were sick of
Yes,
Carson Beck.
yeah,
We probably win that game by 3 scores if Carson Beck stays in the game.
I would
I
agree with
want
that. And
like
also, if Dalen Everett didn't forget that you guys were wearing burnt orange and had Longhorns on the helmets. For I, slight side note, he's from Norfolk, Virginia. Why does he hate you guys so much? Because he plays like dog shit against everybody else. I did did Steve Sarkisian say something about his mama when he came on a visit or
he
something?
might
Because I
have,
don't.
yeah.
It
I
doesn't
don't know,
make
maybe he,
sense.
he might have the same chip on his shoulder. I'm sure Georgia gets a lot of this too from like the Georgia Tech crowd and all that. Like he wanted to play at Texas, but Texas overlooked him. Like when we were in the Big 12, every single quarterback that we ever played against that had a decent game, it was like this kid grew up wanting to play for the University of Texas, but he wasn't good enough, and now he's beating them. So maybe it was that. Maybe he wanted to go to Texas, and we told him he wasn't good enough or something.
Yeah, I don't. Because I'm probably the biggest Dalen hater once again in the quote unquote Georgia media
Right.
because he only plays well against you guys, but
Well,
at
pay
least he
off this
plays well
week.
against somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a bad one to play well against.
No.
At least he's not playing well against like I don't even know non-conference crappy teams.
I, we could have taken a good game against Georgia Tech last year because
Yeah,
that was
that
another
for
one where I
sure.
about froze to death. Um, so getting over to the y'all's defense, the front has been really disruptive, tied for second in sacks, 22nd in tackles for loss, and second in rushing defense. So we hear a lot of the big names, but who is the unsung hero of the front this year?
So I got a couple for you here. So my first one is going to be Hero Canoe. Not to be a little too on the nose here with the hero thing, but he uh, he transferred from Ohio State last year. I think he was top 100 player in his recruiting class and all that. Very talented. Um, but what he's done is he's come in and he's kind of bolstered that interior D line. We've had I think 6 or 7 guys get drafted over the last 3 years from our interior defensive line. And so now we're kind of looking at it like who in the world is going to fill that position? Because you're talking about your ones, twos, and threes for over the last 3 years have all gotten drafted. We haven't recruited very well there, and he kind of come in and him and Cole Brevard, a transfer from Purdue, both kind of anchored that D line. So I think the most unsung hero is going to be him. However, on the edge, because I think that's probably where you're getting more at is on the pass rush, is true freshman. His name is Lance Jackson. Um, he didn't do a whole lot to start the year, but over the last couple of weeks, you keep seeing him out there. He's number 40, and you won't see him for a couple drives, and then all of a sudden he'll come out there and he's making plays off the edge. So for a young guy, he's maybe not the most impactful, but for a true freshman to be doing the things that he's doing, I really like him too.
So with Georgia's multi-headed rushing attack, does that concern you?
Yeah, I mean, I think with any team that's got 2 guys that can average 5.5 yards per carry, like that's got to concern you because one guy averaging that, it's like okay, whatever. He can only carry the ball so many times. Um, but to have two, they're just coming in fresh, back to back. I think that you'd be done if you weren't at least a little worried about that. Now, I will say we do have a very stout rush defense. I think we're like third in the country in rushing yards per game given up. So, hold on one second. So, while I am concerned about it, I do like our defensive front a lot. Our front seven is nasty. Um, I like our linebackers a lot. I think they're freaky athletic guys. The tackling can be suspect at times, but when you have as much speed as Texas does on the defense, it can kind of get covered up because you make contact and then next thing you know, there's three more guys there. So it does concern me. I don't seeing it be the issue for this game though, if that makes sense.
It does. So the secondary has been a little bit of a weak spot this year. 96th in passing defense and 98th in explosive passing plays allowed. So what's the difference between the seventh ranked unit last year and this year's unit?
Yeah. So I'm going to feed the trolls a little bit here. I think last year a little bit of it was we didn't play very many good quarterbacks last year. I can't really think of one that was just outstanding until we got to the playoffs. And you also have, we had a Thorpe Award winner get drafted in Jade Barron, and his replacement Jalen Gobo has not been even close to what he was, and I don't expect him to be a Thorpe Award winner, but he's been just not great this year, and we've had some younger corners step in, and they don't look very good. With safety, the issue has been health. Michael Taff has been hurt for the last couple of weeks, and he, I mean, he's the heart and soul of that entire defensive unit, much less the secondary. So he's going to be back this week. I'm pretty sure he's ready to go, but I think that you'll see a big improvement with him in the lineup out of the whole secondary. And I just think we got really thin really fast back there, and we've got kind of exposed the last couple of weeks because of it.
So what are you most concerned about going into this game?
Two things: penalties is my number one concern. I didn't know this until do you watch the Film Guy Network? Brooks Austin. I know he's a Georgia guy,
I do.
so I'm a huge fan of his. I discovered him this offseason, and I watch like every single video he puts out. And he put one out earlier today, and I didn't even realize how horrible we are penalty wise. 129th in the country for average penalties per game,
Oh
over
wow.
8. Yeah, and Georgia's 34th. So it's not like y'all are fantastic, but comparatively. Um, Also, y'all only have 4.5 penalties per game when you play at home. We have 7.2 penalties per game on the road. So that concerns me. A lot of what our offense is predicated on is outside zone, and that's going to naturally draw some holding penalties. Same with screens and all that stuff. You're asking guys to block horizontally. So that worries me. And then this kind of goes hand in hand. What does the offense look like in a hostile road environment, in an actually big game in a hostile road environment? And can they just do enough to let our defense win this game? I don't need them to go put up 40 against y'all. I don't even need them to put up 30. I just need them to score 2 touchdowns, kick a couple field goals, and convert some third downs and control the ball and let the time run down. So personally, I don't think they can. I don't think it's going to happen, and that's why it's a concern for me.
And then before we get into game picks, trying to end it on a good note, what are you most confident in?
I am most confident in the secondary. I was, going through with Michael Taff and um, how much better I think they're going to be, assuming everybody can stay healthy in the game. I think it's going to be a huge improvement over the last couple of weeks, and I feel really good about that.
All right, so we're going to ask you to pick some games. We do have the spread and the over under, and I got these yesterday, so they're probably already wrong. Um, but we're just
Well, it
asking
depends
for a
on.
straight up pick.
There's like 80 sports books, so depending on where you're looking at, FanDuel and DraftKings, they've all got different stuff. So
So I try to, for the interview episode, I get them from ESPN because most
right,
people use the ESPN app.
right,
Um, and then the ones that I talk about on the episode we're putting out tomorrow, I get on the sports book that I use because I at the same time do my best bets of the week.
okay.
So these are on ESPN yesterday, so probably significantly wrong already. But Oklahoma at Alabama, Alabama 6.5 point favorite, over under 45.5.
Yeah. If I get a best bet, give me Bama minus 6.5 if it's still there. I will take that all day. Man, I couldn't be any more on the train of OU's overrated, and part of that's obviously because I'm an OU hater, but it just I don't know, man. Some playing at Bama, like Bama lost, Bama lost to them last year, and that's got to sting for those guys still. So uh, I think Bama's going to be looking to make a statement, and give me over 45.5. Why not? I've
Ooh.
been horrible at over unders this year, but so maybe take the under.
Part of me thinks that Alabama may be underrated as the fourth team in the country,
Yeah, I mean a lot of people just sold all their stock when they lost to Florida State,
myself
and
included.
yeah,
When you get
yeah,
out physicaled by a 2-10 team, I'm I'm out.
yeah, fair, fair. I don't know what happened to them. They're a completely different football team now. Um, I also think, man, it's a bad matchup for them. I know OU's defense is really good, but Ty Simpson looks really good too, man. And I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that OU's big thing is their pass rush and pressuring the quarterback, and he doesn't seem like that's going to bother him too much. So I really like Alabama in this spot.
Next one, Mississippi State at Mizzou. Mizzou 7.5 point home favorite. Over under 51.5.
It'd make me really happy if Mississippi State beat Mizzou. However, I don't think that's going to happen. But I would take Mississippi State plus 7.5, just because this conference it's too close. Like there's hardly ever a 2 possession win, and I guess you could cover with 8, but whatever. And give me the under.
Yeah, this
I think
this one's
I think it's gonna be ugly.
this one's weird. Part of me thinks that, and I haven't done any of my research for this game that we're talking about it tomorrow, but part of me thinks that Mississippi State has the chance to run away with this, but the other part of me knows that Mizzou has one of the better pass rushes in the conference,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah. And Mississippi State just gave up 3 sacks to Georgia's horrible pass rush. So like,
absolutely that's 100% part of the calculus going into this.
yeah,
If
yeah,
Georgia can use inside linebackers and a defensive tackle to get 3 sacks,
right.
Mizzou with guys that Georgia said was not good enough to play on their team because that's most of Mizzou's pass rushers. Uh, if they can get there, that's something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we got a revenge game here. Florida going to Oxford and playing Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 15.5. Over under 53.5.
Ah, that's a tough line. 15.5, like I just said, feels like I said 7.5 was too much, but that Kentucky Florida game just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth. Like,
And how many of those Florida players are injured and how many have just quit? Because
oh
their
yeah,
injury report comes out with a few guys more listed as
every
out
week. Yeah,
every week.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't doubt it. A lot of them are just holdouts. I hate point spreads this large, but I have to go on this here. Like, I God, but it seems like such a Lane Kiffin letdown spot, doesn't it?
It did
Like
last
you're
year too, though.
squarely in the driver's seat. Like, yeah, yeah. I
It,
still think I gotta go Ole Miss 15.5.
and then the last game, we got to have you pick it. Texas coming to Athens. Georgia 6.5 point favorite. Over under 48.5.
I don't want to pick it. People are gonna hate me. So give me Texas to cover, but I think Georgia's gonna win the game. Very unfortunately, but I just like I said, I don't see our offense being able to sustain the drives that they're gonna have to control this game. And man, I think it's gonna come down to one or two explosives, and it'll be one of those weird ones. Maybe you know what I could really see? I could see Texas being down like 18 late and coming back and scoring 2 touchdowns and kicking an onside kick with like 20 seconds left to try and get like a Hail Mary or something. But no, I think Texas can cover. I'm not very confident in the win though. So Pick Georgia outright. Texas
If
plus 6.
if the game plays out the way that you just said, I will send you my Venmo for my cardiologist appointment.
Man, I've been watching Texas do it and have it done to them for like 5 weeks now. It feels like we had the Kentucky just disgusting game, and then Mississippi State where we came back and yeah.
Those kind of games happen in Lexington to everybody, though. Like Georgia won 13-12 last year.
See, Shane was texting me that during the game. He was like, because he's plugged in with a lot of Georgia people. I don't really know why. I guess he just knows them personally, but he's like, I've got Georgia fans texting me right now, like, welcome to the SEC. Like,
Uh huh.
last year's game against us wasn't your moment. This is your true welcome to the SEC moment because you're not a member of this conference until you go to Kroger Field and sneak out a win, right?
And
So, but
Kroger Field's the most like relaxing name of a football
yeah,
field. And then you go in
yeah,
and it's like,
right.
what in the Big Ten hell is this
Yeah,
score?
yeah. You're expecting like a like friendly customer service, and nope, nope, nope. So I don't know. I texted him back after he sent me that, and I was like, "This is just who we are. We just suck," which is kind of the typical like pessimist fan thing to say.
I feel like the two of us texting back and forth during each other's games would build confidence because of how down we are on our
Yeah,
own teams.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Also, over under for this game 48.5. I hate that line. Vegas is too good at this.
They don't build billion-dollar casinos for nothing.
I know, I know. I feel like I'd have to go with under. I don't
Mm.
feel comfortable with it. I feel like it's just set up for like a late backdoor cover kind of thing. Like I said, Texas coming back and making it interesting at the end, but I think at the end of the day, I'd have to go under on that too.
We appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Well, normally it's us. Tonight it's just me. Um,
Yeah,
but go ahead and plug what you guys are doing out there. It's
yeah, man. I mean, uh, at this point, we're pretty much just a Twitter account. I mean, we've been around for a while, maybe 7 or 8 years at this point. I took over in college. Um, it used to be a Big 12 like network. We had teams, every team in the Big 12, and then after the shift, the other guys that run the tunnel, they were OU fans. They had me come on to cover Texas because they couldn't do it without being biased. So um, whenever we made the move, it was kind of just like y'all can keep y'all's team accounts, but we're gonna rebrand and kind of shift over to this just Texas and OU. Um, we had a podcast last year and go very well, and we had fun for some of the weeks, but it just kind of became a drag. So like you mentioned before we started recording, like do this until you have fun, and I enjoy this kind of stuff, but sitting down and recording every week, and I was editing it, and it became too much. So but yeah, man, you can find us on Twitter. Pull up our handle real quick. The Tunnel_Texas. um, it's a lot of fun. Shane likes to talk a lot of smack over there. I don't do as much smack talk. I like to kind of get into like analytical arguments. But
that's
yeah,
me.
if you ever want to just talk smack with some Texas fans, he'll engage with you. Don't worry.
Awesome. I appreciate it, and we will see you next time.